on YouTube. You can check it out at youtube.com/@Arachne_digital. We have past recordings there from previous community calls and contributor onboarding. We also would appreciate if you share your feedback with us in our Jot form. It helps us with our future events and our event planning, just to make sure we provide the most value. So I dropped a link here in the chat, but I'll also send it to you in an email, and you should have gotten an email in advance of this with the link as well. So welcome, we're in open source cybersecurity contributor onboarding. I'm going to start with some introductions and icebreakers. Then we'll go into more about the projects that we're working on, and Jen's here to answer questions, how to get started contributing, and any questions and answers before we keep in touch. So hello, my name is Vic. I use they, them pronouns. I'm the community manager for Arachne Digital. I have been involved in open source spaces since 2015. I started out with an organization called Open Austin that's still active in Austin, Texas. Right now I'm in Mexico. And outside of like tech, open source, and cybersecurity, which is something I'm newer to, I love things like poetry and art and like tarot reading and stuff. I'm gonna kick it over to Jen, and then Kay just joined us, and we'll go from there.
Hi everyone, I'm Jen. I'm on the tech side of things. My background is computer science. I've worked in the public sector, and then I've met Cade through Mozilla, and then we started this business. And in my spare time, I'm volunteering with cats. That's me. Morning, Cade.
Morning.
You okay to do an intro?
Yeah. So my name is Cade. My pronouns are he, him, and they, them. As Janine mentioned, so both of us met through Mozilla, and we ended up meeting through Mozilla as well. My background is like working in security, so I've worked a couple of different security roles. Moved into blue teaming, which is working in security operations centers. And sort of seeing a lot of the problems around threat intelligence in those spaces, I co-founded Arachne Digital with Janine.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so yeah, we're Arachne Digital. We're a startup and a global team. So Kate's in New Zealand, Jen is in London, and I am in Mexico City. So our goal is to advance global cybersecurity and empower organizations with consulting and open source tools. So today you're going to learn more about our tool thread and the projects that kind of surround and support it. We exist here between open source software and cybersecurity. And if you're interested in keeping up with us or want to share anything you learn here, we're on LinkedIn and also on Blue Sky. So this is now where we want to learn a little bit more about you. We have a small group right here now, but Serhi and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correct, but Anagha, if y'all would like to share maybe where y'all are located right now and what time it is. Also, if there's like an emoji that you enjoy. I'm in Mexico City and it's 1 o'clock, 1:09.
So my name is Serhi, and I'm based in Scotland, Aberdeen, and time here is like 8 o'clock, 8:09.
Oh, is that PM?
Yeah, evening.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was gonna say it's kind of dark, but I don't know. Okay, cool. And then, yeah, it's the next day for Kate in Wellington, 7:09 a.m. And, oh, okay, yeah, and Janine, it's also like 8. Awesome. And And if you'd like, maybe to share a little bit more about yourself and what got you interested in this event. Serhi, I know we've seen you before. It's been a while, so it'd be great to hear if there's anything in particular you're interested in contributing or learning about. And our new guest, Anagha, if you'd like to share about yourself as well, either in chat or on video, this would be a great opportunity to learn more about you. Oh, and thanks for joining us. Oh, sorry. Thanks for joining us past midnight. We have somebody else that's also in India that joins our calls as well, usually. But excuse me, Serhi, do you want to continue?
Oh no, just so far I found job like in security, physical security, so doing some mobile patrolling. But in my free time, I hunting malware and C2s, APTs, and just sharing all information on Twitter. And yeah, interested in general in cybersecurity with focus on threat hunting.
Nice. That's really nice to hear.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Anagha, would you like to share? Are you able to? Okay, that's okay if not. Let's see. Involved with code security before and continue to be interested in the space of cybersecurity. Great. Thanks for joining us today. Cool. Next up, we're going to hear more from Jen and Kate about the work that we're actually doing here. So I think I'll kick it over to you, Jen.
Thank you, Vic. So with us on our GitHub page for Arachne, we have a few repositories there. We have Spindle, which Cade is maintaining. So when you come across cyber threat actors, so he mentioned like APTs, they will have like different names. And this is kind of like our own kind of dictionary or thesaurus for those names. And community is Vic's realm. So we've got all our past slides from calls. You're welcome to check it out and see what's going on there. But two that we want to highlight are the ones that we kind of want to see develop and we're inviting open source contributions for. And they're probably going to be the meteor of the repositories. So this is Thread and Tracery. So Thread was forked from MITRE ATT&CK's prototype Tram, which was a prototype where you could submit a URL. So for example, it could be a news article, and using machine learning models, it would give you mappings on whether sentences of that article were discussing or mentioning or talking about certain MITRE ATT&CK techniques. And MITRE ATT&CK is a framework that contains different attacks in cybersecurity. So for example, there'll be an entry about phishing and how you can mitigate and detect that. So that simple mapping is kind of what you're looking at when you're using Thread. And we took that and we've extended it and made it grow so you still do the core functionality of submitting a URL and getting those mappings, but you can also add extra tags to your report as well, adding extra dates for some of those mappings. If you're ever interested in Thread or you're interested in contributing, you're more than welcome to use our live version that's hosted. The link is there if you want to just have a play around and kind of learn about it by using it. And this project is built in Python and the front end in JavaScript. Yep. So as I said, it was a MITRE attack, a MITRE fork of their repo Tram. And I think they've since gone on to build Tram in a different direction that diverged pretty largely from our fork, so we couldn't combine. But we would like to think that we've developed and extended it in different ways that hopefully is useful to the community. Yeah, so I might just quickly hand over to Kate to talk about like the benefit of thread here. So the
Yep.
mapping, yep.
I can talk to that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janine, for that amazing description of our tool. So basically, you give thread URLs. It uses machine learning to map that free text to MITRE attack. So what it's pulling at is TTPs, so tactics, techniques, and procedures. It's just a big long list of hacking, basically like just hacking techniques that MITRE basically has in what is effectively just a large glossary. Now, the benefit of thread is rather than you sort of having to go by hand and be able to figure out, okay, sentence by sentence, does this sentence match any of the few hundred TTPs? Next sentence, does this sentence match any of the few hundred TTPs? The machine learning will take its best guess and say, well, we believe that these particular sentences, which could end up being like somewhere between like half to a third of the actual like free text in a single report. So all of a sudden you only need to read like a half to a third of each of those sentences. You need to read the entire thing. And it's just very good for scaffolding it as far as it'll say, cool, we believe that these are the TTPs that we think are relevant to this TTP. And it will often pull out, because it's very deterministic, so machine learning, it sort of pulls out the same things again and again, as long as you train it. It's very good. So things like phishing, for example, people will often forget that there's other things that will go along with phishing, as far as user execution, either of a malicious file or a malicious link. So you often see that phishing in a lot of reports that are just sort of online is tagged by itself, but there's other things that go with it. And because the machine learning has been trained to know, okay, in this instance, there are set things that will always happen. It basically prompts you to say, hey, like, don't forget these other things are relevant as well. So it's very good for being nice and thorough and capturing basically all those associated TTPs that go along with various actions.
Thank you, Cade. So we've had a previous community call before where we've done a walkthrough of thread by yours truly. So you're welcome to check that out. That could be a starting point if you land on the site and you're not really sure what to navigate. But yeah, you're welcome to check out the video in addition to trying it out if you wish. Tracery is the second repo that we wanted to highlight. So it's a meta search engine, which means that when you search, it goes off to different search engines. This is also another fork. So this is forked from the Cirx project. Cirx, I forget the timings, but they are now an archived repo. Am I right in saying that, Cade? Yeah.
They are.
So more.
Yes.
Right, thank you. So more than ever, that's one where we would like to see developments, and if anyone wants to have a look at any tickets of that to see ways that they want to see it grow as well. So we kind of want to see the fork that we've made live on as well. Yeah. So recent updates that we've done, thread, I think a few months ago, we did a refactor. I think the code base, like there's always refactoring that can be done, but we had a major refactor. So we hope that some parts of the code base are more inviting if you ever snoop around and want to check it out. Tracery, yep, that we got the news update that Circs is no longer maintained, and we have a priority, issue number 26. Cade, I don't know that off the top of my head.
So it's just about looking to maintain tracery. So
Alright.
basically what tracery does is it hooks into a number of search engines and pulls back a number of results for us that are then fed to Thread to do our analysis. Search engines change over time, so they have different criteria as far as like how to actually call them. And as that naturally shifts, we need to update tracery. So we are basically looking for a way such that we can get notified when there's issues with search engines that their criteria change, so tracery needs an update, so that we can go in and proactively just go in and fix all those connections so that we are continuing to call out to as many search engines as we can.
Thank you. And yeah, I think from the previous slide and the top of this slide here, current priority we have with Thread is the implementation with the Disarm framework. So the Disarm Foundation is one that we are partnered with, and their goal is to tackle disinformation. I don't know if I'm not doing them justice with that succinct sentence. So I don't know, Kate, if you want to expand on that.
That is the mission.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we want to do is we want to provide an analyst dashboard so that people can be analyzing disinformation. Currently, it is quite a manual by hand process. We quite like Attack because Attack does this lovely thing where it's like, cool, we now have a structured way of talking about hacking techniques. We have these mitigations and detections we can map to, so we can get some actionable, actual things you can do once you know about hacking techniques. And we think Disarm is very similar. Disarm has discrete TTPs. It will map to mitigations and detections, and we want to advance the theory and then the actual analysis around disinformation to get to a point where we are in cybersecurity, where you can say, okay, these are the problems and these are the solutions that we can have a look at, and do it in an automated fashion.
Thank you. So thank you for the question, Anaga. Please correct me if I'm mispronouncing. Regarding prioritizing documenting use case and usability, in terms of documentation in general, we try to do that as we're going along. So we have documentation in each of the repos. It could be that when you are exploring the repos, you might see that this, like, something needs updating or something is missing, like off the top of my head. I don't know if we have documentation on use cases, so that could be something that you could submit as a ticket. Submitting a ticket is considered an open source contribution, I think. Yeah, I got a nod. Yeah, agreed. Or it could be a ticket and a pull request where you take a stab at creating documentation with like a template on like, hey, I think we need like some of these use cases for this type of user. So I'm giving a wish-washy answer, but I'm trying to say we try to do documentation as we go along, but specific to use cases and usability. I'm not sure if we have those right now. If that way, let me know if I can help. Oh, cool! You're a technical writer. That's your background. Yeah, we would love to. If you would love to get involved with contributions, we would love to tap into your skill set there. So Tracery, our current priorities are like checking that forked code base. With Thread, we have a knowledge of it to a degree because we've been extending the code base. It's user facing. Tracery is one where we've got a fork, but there's still like some gaps in knowledge, and we just want to audit the code base for that and checking the dependencies and any memory unsafe code. And mitigating that and dealing with anything that may come up. And as Cade said, search engines come and go. So building a maintenance process for what we currently have, that is a current priority for Tracery as well. Thank you for listening to me. We already had that initial question from Anaga. So if anyone else has any questions, the floor is open. And silence means I did a great job, so you're welcome.
It does. It does.
Thank you. And Kate
Yeah.
as well. I'm not being ego.
There were 2 questions we had on the forum, so I think this would be a good time to answer them too. And one is there a time commitment for contributing? And then the other one said, this is my first open source project, and it's also a learning experience for me. How can I provide the most value and best contribute?
I just pick on the second one just because I tried to briefly allude to it when I was talking about even raising a ticket and that being an open source contribution. That's what the scale is like. It might be a bit intimidating seeing open source projects that has big pull requests and big changes in all the files. But the best value and the best time that you can give us if you want to do that, it could be from something as big as that or as small as raising a ticket to tell us as a user, you have seen this, or as someone who's just had a look, you've noticed this could be changed. So there is value in whichever contribution that may appeal, big or small. And the first question was, what was it? Yeah. Time
commitments.
Yeah, I think that ties into my waffling with my previous answer. There is no time commitment. It really is what suits you. And again, can't stress enough, if it is that you've come browsing at the repos like on one afternoon that you're free and you raised a ticket, that is still a contribution that we would value. Or if it is something more on a regular basis where it's one afternoon a week, you're taking the time to like use our products and our repos. That's also very valuable as well. I think when I first started open source contributions, I tried to build a habit of one afternoon a week just so I could be familiar with a project in that sense. Otherwise, for me, it took a bit, like I found it a bit hard to just narrow it down to one day. But I'm going to stop talking. But that's my experience anyway.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. Kate, did you have anything else to add? Or if there's any more questions for chat? If not, I'll move to the next slide.
I was just going to say very quickly, just to underline Jen's points, like whatever time works for you, we are more than happy with. So there's no requirements that you put in a certain amount of time. It can be as simple as raising a ticket to just change a spelling mistake in a piece of documentation, or it can be sort of going through a feature, that kind of stuff. Like, we try to make sure that in any way, shape, or form, if you want to contribute, you can. And we're not going to stipulate that there's like time commitments or anything like that. We want to be as open as possible and accepting as possible, understanding that people have lots of commitments in their lives. The other point, as far as making sure, like, as far as like how to make sure that your contribution is like contributing the most, we will support you as much as we can. We have a Slack channel where you can reach all us, so myself, Janine, Vic, and any other volunteers. So you can ask us about your contribution there if you would like. Janine is your point of call if there's anything technical as far as code. Janine can give you pointers as far as, okay, so like, if you are technical and you want to make a contribution, like these are things to have a look at. These are the gaps that we know that we have. These are the priorities we know that we have. It's always good to talk to someone beforehand before you sort of like go and make a big pull request, just to make sure that, because there's other people that are working as well on the code base, just to make sure that stuff is in line with what's actually happening. But yeah, like we have a Slack channel. You can join. You can always reach out to us. So there's support in that sense.
Awesome, thanks. And I think we already have Serhi in our Slack, but Anagha, if you'd like to join us, I'll share the link. So contributing as you're getting started, or if you're interested in any of the things that we've shared, first getting familiar with our code of conduct and our guidelines is important in terms of like open source projects, or like what Janine was saying about setting aside an afternoon or something. This would be a good first place to start to make sure we're aligned. And then we have our repos where you're able to go in and see if there's any available or already raised issues that pique your interest. There might be some comments or some back and forth, or you might ask questions there. And if you don't see something that's in there, and maybe you think, it could be in there, like Janine was saying, you can make a ticket or chat with us in Slack. And that, yeah, so that's 3, communicate. So you can say hello in Slack, leave a comment on an issue. Serhi, you're already in our Slack. But if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. And Anagha, if you'd like to join, I have the link I'll put in our chat here in a moment. And yeah, we'd love to have you. We actually do have somebody, I mentioned this earlier, we have someone else who's in India and joins us pretty late on these calls as well. So yeah, that's the overview of our project, or what we're working on so far. So if there's any other questions in closing, this would be a good time. Serhi, I'm kind of curious. I know you've been to a few of our events. If there's anything that's piqued your interest so far, if you have any maybe additional questions. And
no.
Yeah.
Thanks for presentation, very insightful. And yeah, I'll try to, to see some walkthrough later this week, and we'll try to have a look at the code base, and if I find anything that I can contribute to, I would be happy to have more interaction. Thank you.
Also, I was just going to say on that as well. So if you're interested as far as actually like using the sort of the outputs, so like while this call is sort of focused as far as making contributions to the actual like projects that we have, as far as like the code base and documentation, the community building sort of around those, if you are interested as far as like actually using the threat intelligence that you're able to generate through threads, we've got quite a few blog posts. So if you go to our website, up the top you should see blogs. And there'll be different blogs that will talk about the different ways you can use the sort of the outputs of thread. You mentioned like threat hunting, so we have a blog post on threat hunting. There's various things as far as like how you could use threat intelligence for a security operations center, but also like wider in an organization. And if you have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out to us on Slack.
Sure, thanks, Kate. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Cool. So of course, staying in touch, as I mentioned, Slack is a great place just to chat, swing by and say hi, or ask questions. We have a random channel if you want to share something fun, but also, you can share in general or other relevant channels, maybe interesting news relevant to cybersecurity or the open source space, or maybe even where you are in the world. So again, we are on social media. If you want to stay connected with us on LinkedIn, we share our upcoming events, our blog posts, and other news on this site, as well as Blue Sky. And your feedback for today's event is super appreciated. So maybe there's something you would have liked to hear more about, or something was a little confusing, or something you really enjoyed. It's a good opportunity to share in this forum because that'll help us with these future onboardings. That's kind of all I have now. I'll stay on for a couple minutes if people want to chat or ask any more questions, but we appreciate you for joining us. And this recording will be shared, as well as a follow-up email with all these fun links to stay connected with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. I'll see y'all later.